Welcome back to the national edition of the Cats Roundtable, 970 a.m. The Answer. I'm your host, John Catsimatidis, and we're with you every Sunday morning. Joining us now is a person who has been a long-time vocal advocate for fiscal responsibility in our nation. From 1998 to 2008, David Walker served as the United States Comptroller General. Since leaving his office, Mr. Walker has served as president and CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation and later the Comeback Initiative. He's currently a senior strategic advisor at Price Waterhouse and continues his fight for fiscal responsibility with a bipartisan group, No Labels. David Walker, good morning. How are you?
John, good to be with you.
David, tell us, you had the title of U.S. Comptroller General. A lot of the American people don't know that title. Tell us what did you do and what was your responsibilities?
Sure, John. The U.S. Comptroller General is basically the Auditor General of the United States, the de facto Chief Accountability Officer of the United States, and also serves as CEO of the GAO, which is the U.S. Government Accountability Office. And it works for the Congress and the American people to try to help improve the performance and assure the accountability of the federal government for the American people.
And tell us, you worked for, which presidents did you work for then?
Well, I was part of the Reagan administration where I was head of the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation and head of the Employee Benefit Security Administration at the Labor Department. I was also part of the Bush administration where I was a trustee of Social Security and Medicare. That's Bush 41, George Herbert Walker Bush. And then President Clinton appointed me as Comptroller General of the United States and head of the GAO, and I served during the latter part of the Clinton administration and pretty much almost the entire term for Bush 43.
So you've worked for Democrats, you work for Republicans. I guess when you're an accountant, the most important thing is the numbers and that the numbers are right. We're here in November 2015. Should the American people sleep well at night, or what do you worry about at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Well, obviously, the most important thing to people is safety and security, and the world's a very uncertain place right now. But the biggest concern that I have is how we've lost touch with the reality. I mean, we are fiscally irresponsible. We now have about $18.5 trillion in debt. Our debt has more than tripled since the year 2000. We've got huge unfunded obligations dealing with Social Security and Medicare, that we haven't come to grips with yet. And the fact of the matter is if you don't keep your economy strong, and that means to be able to generate more jobs and opportunities, you're not going to be strong internationally with regard to foreign policy. You're not going to be able to invest what you need to invest, in national defense and homeland security, and ultimately you're not going to be able to provide the kind of social safety net that we need in this country. So I am still concerned that we have not put our finances in order, and we need much more emphasis on that.
Now, telling the American people the truth, and having listened to Pete Peterson for many a time, the $18.5 trillion deficit, that doesn't include Social Security, is that correct?
No, $18.5 trillion in debt includes some of the debt that we owe to Social Security, but only a small portion of it. If you end up adding to that $18.5 trillion the unfunded civilian and military pensions and retiree health care, the additional underfunding for Social Security, the additional underfunding for Medicare, various commitments and contingencies that the federal government has, the real number is about $65 trillion rather than $18 trillion. And it's growing automatically absent reforms.
Now, you're a member of the group No Labels, as well as I am, and we both believe that Democrats and Republicans should work together to work together as Americans to come up with common sense solutions. Is there going to be a common sense solution to all this?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. As you know, John, No Labels values progress over partisanship and results over rhetoric. It basically says you can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you can be unaffiliated, you can be whatever you want, but your duty of loyalty needs to be to country rather than to party, and that we need to start solving some of the large known and growing problems that we have. Can there be a solution to the fiscal issues? Yes, and I demonstrated it personally. In 2012, I went on a 10,000-mile, 27-state national fiscal responsibility bus tour. I had several representative town hall meetings with representative groups of citizens who agreed by anywhere from 68% to 90% margins on a range of reforms to our budget system, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, health care, defense, taxes, and other areas. If you go about it the right way, you tell them the truth, you help them understand the tough choices, the fact that we must make changes to keep this country great and to discharge our stewardship responsibility, our kids and our grandkids, they will support it. But we need committed and inspired presidential leadership, and we need people to put aside their party labels for the good of the country.
We got a new speaker of our House of Representatives. You know Paul Ryan at all?
Yes, I do. I know him well.
Now, do you think he'll be able to help? Do you think he has the wherewithal to sit down with President Obama and try to make a deal?
Well, I think Paul Ryan is very well qualified. Candidly, he was very reluctant to take the job because he had a great job as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. And I think he will do his best to try to make sure that the House functions more effectively than it has been lately. Candidly, as you know, John, the Speaker of the House is supposed to be the Speaker for the whole House. It's not supposed to be the head of the party, of a particular party in the House. And I think what Paul has decided is that Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy should function as head of the party and should do most of the fundraising and things of that nature, so he can spend more time being Speaker of the whole House and try to end up working on some of these policy issues and see if there can be some agreement. I think time will tell how much is going to get done in the balance of President Obama's term. As you know, history has shown that not a whole lot gets done in the final year, which is an election year, of a second-term president.
And, Nancy Pelosi is still minority leader, and does she still follow President Obama's instructions, I guess?
Well, let's just say that there's not as close a relationship between the president and even leaders of his own party, in part because President Obama hasn't spent a whole lot of time developing relationships. But the truth is, John, that in the final year of a second-term president, which is also an election year, it's highly unlikely that you're going to see major things get done. As we know, before Boehner left, there was a deal done on the debt ceiling limit. There was a deal done on spending for 2 years. So basically, some of the most contentious things have been put off until early 2017. And then now there's an agreement with regard to a funding bill for transportation, which doesn't solve the problem, but basically comes up with a solution that's going to last about another 3 years. So I think the real big-ticket items, the kind of things that No Labels is focused on, jobs, fiscal responsibility, Social Security, Medicare security, and energy security, those issues, I hate to say it, but I believe they're not going to happen before 2017.
So the solution is still long-term. It's not going to happen within the next year or so.
I do not believe so, based on history, and I do think it's going to take a committed, inspired, inspirational president who's willing to use the power of the bully pulpit to go to the people, and who will spend time developing relationships on both sides of the aisle. We need nonpartisan solutions that can get bipartisan support. It is possible to be successful, absolutely no question, but that's what it's going to take.
Let's make believe it's a year later and there's a new president of the United States, and he or she calls you up for advice. What's the first three things you're going to say to her or him?
Well, I think, obviously we're both involved in No Labels, and I think what I would say to the president is you ought to start with having a short list of priorities, and the no labels agenda is a good one. Let's create 25 million jobs within 10 years. Let's get control of our nation's finances. The most important thing is let's get debt as a percentage of the economy under control. Let's secure Social Security and Medicare. Let's go for energy security, and encourage the president to go directly to the American people using the bully pulpit, and developing those kinds of relationships of Congress that can cause us to actually make progress in these areas. And I believe that it is possible to get it done. And I've advised presidents in the past, and I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to advise some in the future.
David Walker, thank you for your service to America. Thank you for your common sense, and thank you for letting the American people know what's going on. And we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, John. And please have your listeners check out nolabels.org. It's worth their time.
Nolabels.org, and that's both sides working as Americans, not for their own party. Thank you so much. This is the Cats Roundtable, and we'll be back to you in a few minutes.